would like more cards, please.
Something about unban
Could
reckless
it be Card
conversion.
Frog here?
Something. We unban reckless conversion.
Something.
All right.
You guys
Great words
unbanning
of-
reckless conversion?
In the great words of Silidar, you should unban reckless conversion. We kind of did. What do you mean?
Okay, so we'll just go ahead and start, and I'll just quick introduction. All right. So, hey everyone, I'm Derek here with Team Ordinary Bear, and I am joined by Croesus and Glass, and we're gonna go over kind of what went on at Worlds, what we played, kind of what we saw, what we liked, what we didn't like, and then just kind of simply talk about how it went. So we'll go and just do quick introductions, and then we'll just jump right into it. So let's go ahead and Glass, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Glass or Tristan. I have been playing GA since a little before it came out and following it since December 2022.
Match.
All right. I mean, that was probably about, because you definitely started before me, and I picked it up right when Altair came out. So yeah, I picked it up as soon as our shop got it in. I was hooked.
Yeah, I got a little bit of Kickstarter, and I opened my box of Kickstarter, and I was like, "Damn, this game looks fun. I should play it."
Fair. What about you, Croesus? How did you start?
So
yesterday, right before Worlds.
my name's Cryos
Basically.
or Braden. I'm a big Rye guy. I actually started about two weeks before ALC, right? Glass?
Something like that was
Something around there. 2 weeks for ALC. Glass actually got me into it. So I played a competitive Guardian called Flesh and Blood. Loved it.
He got me into that one.
Started getting real tired of the game, and Glass was like, "Hey, you know that really fun Kano combo deck you like to play?" He's like, "What if I told you you can just play that here?" And I was like, "I can do what?" And he showed me Rye, and then I fireballed someone for 36, and I went, "All right, cool, I'm in." That's really all it took.
Be fair, that's the first deck I started on was Rye, because Fire Rye was just right out the gate. You're just like, oh, cool, I just kill you. Also, we had Reckless Conversion, so it's like that card is like, I take an extra turn after this one.
Ban Reckless Conversion.
I saw that card Spirit Blade Insult, and I was like, that card fucks. I want to play that.
Yeah.
My first
big Rye fan.
Yeah, I think the first regional we had, I went Wind Lorraine is what I ended up playing into that. And it worked out pretty well. Well, anyways, let's go ahead and the big reason we want to talk about this is talk about Worlds. We're about a week after. Yeah, about exactly a week after Worlds. So let's kind of go in, like, what were your thoughts going into Worlds? Like, what did you expect at the event? And then, did it exceed expectations? Kind of what you expected? Kind of where from there?
I'm going to be super honest. Going into Worlds, I was really nervous. I was like, I'll be real happy if we day 2. I don't expect too much. I don't really know how the team format's going in. I was real nervous about our deck list in general, because we, as a team, all love to play level 3 decks. and we decided how can we play 3 level 3 decks, and it was either going to work or we were going to O3 drop. Like, there was no in between.
I'll say I played a level 3 deck, if you want to call it that, and I felt like I O3 dropped every round we played.
You played a deck.
What mattered was you won the games that I lost.
What about you, Tristan? How'd you feel going into it?
So my only large event beforehand had been Ascent Houston, which was so much fun, but obviously it was their first large event, so there was definitely hiccups. The biggest hiccup being their tournament software they were using dropped, and all of the backups dropped at like the end of round 4. So our lunch break became, a 2-hour lunch break. And since the move to Omni and everything was so smooth. The index or the Ascent store was everything was more organized. The just general venue space was better as well. The art gallery was sick. Vendors, booths, the actual little artist area, like everything was a step up from what we saw back at Houston, and it was so much fun.
Yeah.
Give Han more money.
This fucker.
I I'll say the hotel was a lot nicer and the venue was a lot nicer.
Yeah.
But man, getting to the venue was a lot harder this time.
Yeah.
As someone who has as someone who's trying to quit a smoking habit, having to walk down what felt like a quarter-mile hallway, take an elevator down to a lobby, walk across the hotel lobby, down another set of stairs to just get outside, and then know that I had to be back in the event hall at whatever time the next round started was a pain. Because to get anything, so like I wasn't a VIP member. I know Glass was. I don't think Derek was.
No,
No, I
he was
wasn't.
just
I was
regular.
Sidus
So-
champion.
Yeah, so like as someone who didn't have VIP, if I wanted a drink that wasn't water, I had to walk down a hallway, go down an elevator, walk across to the store that was on the other side of the hotel lobby, buy it, and then make that trek all the way back.
Yeah, based on
I will say,
based on just like distance and drink costs in Vegas, I think VIP paid for itself.
Oh yeah,
oh,
100%.
100%.
I was
Oh,
spending like
listen.
$4 a soda, dude.
Listen, ours on a water bottle came in clutch. Not gonna
True.
lie, came in real clutch
Yes.
that whole weekend.
Yes, sir.
Mine's
Love
over
this
there.
thing.
I can't grab it.
I've been using it for everything.
This was
Sadly, I already dropped it and I dented it, but it's
Well,
okay.
oh no.
Oh,
I dented it.
I
It's
know
like
this-
right here on her head, but
have
the
a-
paint isn't chipped, so it's okay.
Okay, that's
Okay.
what matters.
Paint is not chipped.
Yeah, no, that water bottle came in so clutch that whole event. 'Cause I was
The-
like, man, I don't gotta go back downstairs. I was gonna refill this at the water station they had, and I
The-
was like, we're good.
The biggest thing to me about the entire event was I had no idea what to expect going into 3v3. My initial thoughts of the 3v3 is I feel like you're going to have like one or two coherent decks and then one deck that's just kind of there. And I'll like in the end you were pretty able to make three coherent decks, like not 100% power because the big thing with all the decks was Grand Crusader's Ring.
I feel
Everybody
like
wants
ours was
one.
Dungeon Guide.
It was Dungeon Guide for us, but that's because of how we play.
Yeah.
But decks were way more coherent than I expected them to be, and just the games were so much more fun and just best of one. It was they were just as long, if not longer, than regular best of 3 games. But the deck building was very interesting, but the actual gameplay was so much better than I expected.
Agreed.
Yeah, and
100%.
And I will say it's definitely because like the only other 3v3 event I ever played before that was Magic the Gathering. Had 3v3 events back in the day. But the thing is, you were sitting in with like 4 to 5 sets at a time. So you had so many cards to work with, and you could easily just pick a color, and you weren't really having problems. In this one, it's like there's so much cross with
There-
cards, you realize very quickly.
Norm is a big deal in
Or,
this
like,
game.
Oh yeah,
Norm
we
is
realized
a
how
big
quickly how
deal.
reliant on certain cards in the game. I think the key ones was Dungeon Guide was a big one. We realized kind of looking at fire decks, Creative Shock was a
Scry
very
the
big
Sky,
one.
Scry the Skies ended up being
Cry
one
the
of these guys.
Skies, Serum of
Resolute
Wisdom,
Sand as well.
Resolute, Peaceful,
Vanish
Yes.
from sight.
It was just a lot of things were kind of everywhere that we had to kind of figure out. But I will say, now using things like actually using like the Grail is a main board slot and like not having Ring or using the Spectrometer kind of changed my mind on Spectrometer in general. And I think that card actually has play over GCR in certain situations.
I mean,
Now,
I do
not
agree.
many, but I think there are a few.
I definitely, going against some of the Allies players, I definitely did have people go like, Spectrometer Academy Guide level use or level use Spectrometer. I'm like, oh, that was all free.
yeah. I think that was one of the huge things in the event is a lot of decks or a lot of teams just chose not to use Spectrometer, and a lot of people just didn't know how to use Spectrometer, and that definitely hindered a lot of play. And just having people that understood how Spectrometer works and why that card is so good, and what situations that card is so good in is very, very important.
If I'm
I
not
will
mistaken,
say for me, my Divine Relic, because I was on Screen Xander, was very, very easy. It was Quicksilver. There was no fighting for it. Nobody else wanted it. I wanted it.
Yeah, and that was nice about having that, just having the Xander, us being on the Rye and the Tony as well, is it made it a lot easier because we didn't care about Grail, so that was easy. And in the Ring was the only thing that we kind of fought over. But the more I play Spectrometer and Tony, I'm like, okay, I can just turn 1 or turn 2 play the Spectrometer, turn 3 go Tony or in this case go Bobble if I want to. And it
Yeah.
was perfectly fine at that point.
So, to make your point about Spectrometer a little bit more apparent, I just looked at all the top 4 lists, including ours. Every single team had a spectrometer in one of their lists,
Yeah.
except for Cabin's team, I believe. But
The
that's because
Real
they were on
Fusion Impact.
Fire Xander, Water Rye, and Wind Hybrid that didn't really need the level.
Yeah, like you have
But-
two decks that don't need. You have one
but
deck
the
that needs
other
to level
3
one.
lists all played spectrometer,
Yeah,
which I think is really interesting, which kind of opens up like, yeah, spectrometer is actually a really good card.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
every time you tap it, if like you tap Spectrometer once, it's a GCR. You tap Spectrometer twice, you're going to level 2 for free now, and you're just like, oh, GCR who?
Yeah, like
Yeah, and even there was multiple plays I did where I used Spectrometer, and I used Spectrometer a 1 just to level to Tony, so I never lost hand size.
Yeah,
So that I could use Gildas twice, just on that play alone.
yeah.
oh yeah, it also
it
it
was-
does help balance too.
Yeah. So it was definitely nice to just have it. So with that, I guess let's kind of go into a little bit. We kind of hinted at some of the decks we played, talked about it. Let's go and just talk a little bit about kind of the decks we played and what was our thought process going in. And were you happy with the deck you ended up picking, or is there any changes you wanted to make after playing in the event, or are you kind of just solid to where you were?
Glass,
So-
I'll let you go first.
I think the biggest thing for us was initially we had 2 fire decks. Initially we had the Serene Xander that we brought, and then we were also planning to bring some form of fire aggro, whether that be Erupting, Fire Lorraine, or unlikely Fire Xander, because Serene Xander already wants Xander 1. So likely Fire Lorraine. But nobody on our team really wanted to play Fire Lorraine, and nobody wanted to play Erupting. So we just said, all right, we'll just bring the Serene Xander, and we'll figure out our third deck from there. And that's where Krios's love of Rye came in, where like a week before he's like, I'm gonna try Wind Rye.
I was a
So-
big Fire Rye player, as you can see from a Yeti regional and multiple Yetis. Big Fire Rye player, but I couldn't
Yeah.
play Fire Rye with Fire Xander.
Yeah, because the reason you play Fire Rye is because Creative Shock makes your start so smooth, and Dungeon Guide. I have the Dungeon Guides over in Serene Xander, which means he has to level normally. So that's where Beseech the Winds came in huge. Now, Windrye does get to make use of like Dungeon Guides better, doubling up a Dungeon Guide with things like Zephyr. However, we just kind of figured that Beseech, you needed to get to level 3 on track or ahead of time enough that Beseech was exactly what you needed, and it filled the role well enough.
The way that it ended up working in my mind was without Dungeon Guide, but with Beseeches, Rye, instead of being like turn 4, it was like turn 5. And in this format where not every deck is going to be 100% powered, it was fine. Every single deck was like a turn behind their normal curve.
Yeah.
So it
And-
was an okay trade.
Yeah, and especially with like most decks being a turn behind curve, that made my life on Luxemsander, because my Luxemsander was so close to just normal stock Luxemsander that I was a turn ahead of most people and just had overwhelming advantage in basically every game.
Yeah, and I'll bring the deck up here now too. And it's like, yeah, looking at what you played, it was pretty much stock for stock. I think the only switch you really made in the entire list
Scry the Skies.
at all is
Scry the Skies Serum Wisdom.
yeah, Scry the Skies is a 1 of Scry the Skies. And I think
Yeah.
that was like that
Did
was
they
it.
add the
Everything
Gleaming
else is
Cuts
just
back?
The Gleaming
they did add the Gleaming Cuts
They
back
did
in.
add
Yeah.
the
So,
Gleaming
yeah.
Cuts back in? Okay.
Yeah, and then you had the Vanish from Sights while
Yeah,
the
Vanish.
Rye end up taking the Peaceful Reunion. So
Yeah, because I didn't want the peacefuls in the first place. Vanish has the additional text of I can pick it up off of Deft Executioner's Enter sometimes. So sometimes my defensive card is also neutral thanks to Deft
You do get the
Executioner.
fog into fog.
And then one other change, right? So I cut 3 copies of Scry the Skies, which left me with 3 open deck slots. I put in 2 more Serum Wisdoms up to 4, and that left me with 1 more. Originally, I was on 2 Gawains, and I was like, oh, I'll just add a 3rd Gawain in. And for the longest time, Krios, when he was playing the Luxemsander, was not playing the Oasis Trading Post. And I'm a big believer in Oasis Trading Post. But he was on 1,000 Refractions. And I was like, what if I just have both really good one-ofs in the form of I've already got Oasis Trading Post and I have a deck slot open, so I'll just add in 1,000 Refractions And 1,000 refractions. I didn't draw a ton of cards with insignia prep counters with it, but it gave me reach that I should not have had in a lot of matchups where I just went, I'm at 1,000 refractions you 5 times.
Oh yeah, after you've played an Uncover the Plot or 2,000 refractions just becomes it goes, every Uncover the Plot adds 2 damage to 1,000 refractions.
Not to mention as well, it's like playing the deck myself for a while, is you have a lot of situations where you have to pop Serene so early on that those prep counters just become borderline useless.
Yeah.
Unless you have,
Well,
like,
and the only thing you use
a
prep
Thieving
counters
Cut
on
hand.
is Thieving Cut and Planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I have to pop my Serene on like turn 1 or 2, especially against like turbo decks like Diana, Planet's a dead card. So it's just kind of, I have Gleaming Cut. Or not Gleaming Cut, Thieving Cut, that one.
You do have Gleaming Cut.
You
For
did have
sure.
Gleaming Cut. Confirmed. Confirmed it did have Gleaming Cut.
Yeah. The other change I want to talk about we also made going to this is with the Azure Protective Trinket. Normally that was Grail.
Yes.
And we thought about
no,
it.
that was
And we're
Lantern.
like, why is
That was Lantern.
Yeah, Lantern. And we're like, why is our water deck just not on Lantern? This feels
Yep.
super dumb. And we made that last minute change. Did you even have to use the Azure Protective? Did you
No,
ever get against Erupting
never.
even once?
Never.
I didn't think so.
Yeah,
So it was just like,
I personally think the best inclusion we did have was from me taking Viridian Protective Trinket or Tariff Ring or Chalice of Blood. One of the 3 that I took from Xander.
Yeah.
And giving you Poison Dagger was probably one of the best decisions we've ever made on the weekend.
Poison Dagger did so much for me. Like, I was already a fan of Poison Dagger. And now it's just like, how can I like actually fit this into normal Luxem? Because you see that people get comfortable against Luxem because the deck is so slow, and Poison Dagger is like, I'm not slow anymore. You're just dead.
yeah, especially if just the math alone, if you have, let's just say you get all 4 of your Lightweaver's Assaults and you pop it, you reveal, you're putting in like what?
It's 13 damage, 1 from the dagger,
yeah.
3 from each assault, which is, and then you just go, okay.
Well, if you play double Lightweavers, it's
even more there.
It's 6. It's 6, so it's 12 from each of the reveals,
assaults, and then 9
plus the the 9 and 9.
Just so much burst potential just because of the dagger.
Yeah,
Also, I also noticed as well with the dagger, even just putting it out there, you have so many opponents that get so scared of it, they'll blow up that as your regalia, and they leave you with things like the map. They leave you with things like the orb, insignia,
Safeguard amulet.
Yeah, they left you with so many tools just because they're like, I don't want to die to the dagger. But by taking that time to kill the dagger, they gave you the extra turn you got by you would normally lose by losing the other card. So it kind of just worked out in our favor. We didn't even think about it.
And also, Poison Dagger plus 1,000 refractions.
That kills people too.
That kills people.
Other fun fact about Poison Dagger: it kills Gawain.
It does kill Gawain.
Yeah,
that thing killed 2 Gawains, and I probably won both of those games off of the fact that those Gawains did not hit me alone.
Yeah. There's
pretty good card.
Pretty good value. Let's see here as well. So there's not much more to say. It's Luxem Xander. You piloted it very well. We'll talk a little bit about kind of the crazy matches we played here in a little bit. But let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at the Wind Arcane Rye. Because I will say, I definitely kind of put my foot in my mouth, because when you said I'm playing Winrai, and my thought was, I hate this guy. I don't want to have a Winrai at the table, because like I played it and I'm like, man, I don't like this at all. But the more that I thought of, the more when we actually saw it get played, I'm like, you know what? People aren't expecting this deck to be here. They're not. They're expecting Fire Rise, so they kind of get comfortable.
The amount of people on day 1 who saw him materialize Spirit of Wind and went, "Oh, this is the Wind Allies player on the team," and just got boomed by Rye
it was
staggering.
I played an opponent, and it was like I think it was round 1. I materialized Spirit of Wind. I can't level, so I pass.
Yeah.
I don't level the next turn. I just grab GCR. And then he goes, I'm against the Wind Allies player. And then I level Beseech to 2 and play Wind Riderberg. He goes, I'm in the Rye mirror. I'm losing this because he was
Yeah.
not ready.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, the Windrye list felt a lot better. A lot of people don't really, like you said, don't know what Windrye does because it attacks on a completely different axis than Fire Ray. With Fire Ray, you're used to, Advent, Arcane Blast, Fireball. With
Yeah.
Windrye,
I'm gonna
people,
throw 3 different big numbers at you.
yeah, people are not used to seeing an Arcane deck play an ally. So stuff like Windrider Invoker being a 4/2.
Yeah, it's
really
removal that draws
good.
a card.
Yeah, it's a 4/2 that draws you a card. It's really good. And then
Yeah.
the big finisher that a lot of people aren't ready for is the Arcane Elemental. People are like, oh, I don't need Tarfring. Or they'll put a Tarfring on the field because they have nothing else to materialize. And then they won't pop it. Turn after turn, it'll just stay there.
And then you go
And-
Arcane Elemental, disorienting winds, disorienting
Yeah.
winds, disorienting winds,
And,
and it's just like,
or they'll
oh,
they'll toss their Resolute stands. They'll discard their Resolute stands. They won't play their Peaceful Unions. They won't play their Vanishes. They don't play any of these cards because they're not ready for it. And then you go Arcane Elemental, swing 7, return it to hand, draw a card. Arcane Elemental, swing 7, and they're like, "Oh, am I dead here?" And you're like, "Yeah, you are."
Yeah.
Yeah, and
like-
especially with a lot of you end up getting a lot of the ally matchups anyways as well too. So like you would have like Tony at 20 health, or like you would have like a Lorraine at maybe 22
And
Yeah,
it's
and
like
if
like-
you were lucky.
Yeah, it's like
that's
they're-
3
they're,
swings.
like,
that's
yeah,
not
they'll be like-
that's not a hard reach.
it's like they're level 1 Lorraine. They're at 19 health, and they're like, "I haven't taken damage. I feel so confident." I'm like, "Cool, elemental, Arcane Blast." And they're like, "Oh, that's lethal." And I'm like, "Yeah, it is."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's really hard for you to get around the double axes of it because it's like, yeah, you can have a Safeguard Amulet. It doesn't stop elemental.
Yeah, like
Yeah, being able to divide your damage into 2 fronts is incredibly powerful. And I think that's what helped us in a lot of games, is just being like, they had to essentially have the 50-50 Regalia pick. And at that point, we're just like, and most of the decks weren't running both.
yeah.
They were like, one deck would have the Terrafring, the other would have the like, if against like Tristan, if you had the Luxemir, they were the ones playing the amulet. So you just had this very 50-50 matchup. You're just like, I'm just gonna play
Yeah.
out of the water.
And
then-
even when they had the safeguard, it was like, I'm gonna cast Advent in the Stormcaller, and it's just ultra scry this guys. And it also wipes your board if you're allies.
I in one of the games that we won, I think it was against the TM32 guys.
Yeah.
I cast an Advent when they had a Safeguard out, and I just went, yeah, I'm just gonna banish all of it, and I'm gonna Erratic Bolt you for 30.
Yeah.
It's like the Advent didn't do damage, but it sure did give me 8 levels.
Yep.
And like,
Yeah,
and then
that's
my
the thing is it. All right, yeah, go ahead.
my inherent love for just Fog as a Rye player, having Peaceful's, Resolutes, Vanishes, and then Ravaging Tempest was a big MVP.
Yeah, that
I
like
love that card.
you messaged me and was like, I'm scared, what do? I don't want to play Peer into Mana. And I'm like, here's a couple cards. Like here's I think it was like Scattering Gust,
I think,
which
yeah, I
suppresses
think
two
I sent.
allies.
I think me and you talked about every mage wind spell that suppressed or bounced an ally that
Yes.
existed in Grand Archive.
And then it was like, I was like, we could just play Ravaging Tempests. And it was like, I'll try that.
In one of the games, I think is once again.
This was also Team 32.
okay. This was
yeah,
also
was
Team
still
32. It was earlier in this game.
Yeah.
I played a Ravaging Tempest. Sent I think it was like 5 allies.
Yeah.
Banished 5 of their allies. They drew 5 cards, and I vanished a singular ally, which was a Windrider Invoker, and drew a singular card. I drew the second Ravaging Tempest out of 2 in my list, and they
It
went
was
play
so
ally, swing, and I went Ravaging Tempest number 2.
And then the
And they're
allies
like-
player was like, I have so many cards in my hand. What do I do?
Yeah, they're like, I have 13 cards in hand. 3 of them are Gildas. What do I do?
Oh.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a list that just kind of like popped off when it needed to, and it was just like people just didn't expect it, especially for the first couple rounds. Like there were some people just being like, they're playing those, oh yeah, they're like super confident, and then you just instantly saw their like demeanor just tank, and they're like,
Yeah.
I think I die because I can't
Yes.
stop this.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
moment
and then-
people realized that they were not against allies and they were very much in danger, it was just, uh-oh.
Yeah, multiple times over the weekend, I would. Tristan can confirm because he's sitting right next to me. My opponent would lean over to the middle seat and go, "Hey, I'm pretty sure I'm dead."
There
we
was
heard that
quite-
more than once.
Yeah,
Just
there
be
was
like,
quite
I
a
think I'm
few.
dead.
There was quite a few of those.
Yeah. All right, and then we'll look at my list. I was definitely when we went into this before we showed this, we kind of definitely decided early on that we were gonna lock in 2 level 3 lists, and that was gonna be our control list. The last list was gonna be something. We weren't sure what it was, and so we essentially
Made
left
a
it.
level 3
Cindy
control
left it.
list.
We left it to me and was like, "Hey, here's what we're using. Here's what we're taking. Here's what left." And I'm like, "Well, cool. I can't play Spirit of Wind, so Wind Allies is gone.
Yep.
I can't play Fire because all the good Fire cards are kind of just taken.
Yep. All the
But
creative
also the
shots.
only good Fire deck was Fire Lorraine, Erupting, which I had to play without Creative Shocks, or I would have to play Fire Lorraine without Creative. And I was like, that just seems bad.
Yep.
I played Water before. Let's play Water.
Yep.
And then I looked over the list of like the last Lady events, anything that did well, and then I stumbled upon one of the Taunerous ally lists, but it had like a little bit more of a control shell to it, and I was like, I think we can make this even more control shell for this event, and so that's what we decided on this abomination wind or water Tony list that was just like, we'll slap in 3 baubles, we'll put the life essence amulet because obviously I'm gonna lose something. And then we're like, let's let this unbanned Scepter of Lumia just do work, and it did work. It did. That's what got me a lot of games.
That
And
that list was slow, consistency, and steady. It was not fast. It was.
Oh man,
it did not kill people, but it did not die.
Most
this is
rounds, it looked like you were in control of your game, but me and Tristan was like, all right, we're done.
Yeah,
we're done. We're good. We're good.
We're good. We're good.
It was like you guys would wrap up games in the time I would get to like turn 4, turn 5, and it's like, what have you done? And I'm like, so I've played 5 allies, and I still have 5 cards in hand. Okay, what level are you? I'm level 2. What are they at? They have 2 damage. What damage have you taken? I've got 10. Are you anywhere close to dying? They don't have a board. Oh, okay. Who's winning? I don't know.
I will be in about 7 to 8 turns.
yeah. Give me like 30 minutes, and it's probably over in my favor.
Yeah, and it was, I will say, a couple of like takeaway cards that actually did a lot of work. Was a Take Point was one of them. Being able to go, so some of the best plays were being able to go turn 1 Lunette, turn 2 Snow Fairy to lock down the only guy they played. So like, okay, now I'm kind of more locked out. Go to Taunerous level 1, have the taunt, so they're like, okay, I can finally attack. Oh, I can't deal with your board, so I guess I'll just hit you in the face. And I'll be like, all right, cool. I'll play another ally, and you played the water trinket, so I can't play any spells in your turn. That's fine. Take point, attack Taunerous again, and then I have a board of 4 allies. They have like 1. Then they have to play every ally coming into play tap because they can't deal with Lunette, and they're like, what do I do? In the ally matchup, it's impossible. However, that being said, this deck did struggle a little bit into Erupting, even with Lantern Fracture Eyes. It was.
I'm gonna be real, the real struggle into Erupting is there are 3 copies of Fractured Ice in that deck, not 4.
Yeah, and we built this list not thinking we're gonna have Lantern because Fracture Eyes was definitely take a backseat, and then we made the last minute change. We changed some things I didn't even think about. We should probably kick this up to 4 Fracture Eyes because we're
3
playing Lantern
copies
now.
of Song of Frost.
Yep, and another big change that we made was very last minute we wanted Amorphous Strike because go to Tony 3, here's 10.
Big enjoyer of that card.
And not many people can handle go to level 3, here's 10. And
yeah, especially once you set up on you had all 3 obelisks out, you were just making a dude, clearing their board, and then you draw your you finally get your 3rd card in hand, and they go, okay, I have no more defenses, but I think I kill you in your turn. And I'm like, okay, 10. All right, I'm dead. That's cool. Yeah, I think out of my wins, Amorphous Strike got me 2 wins, and then just Heavy Swing alone. Heavy Swing shut out like 4 games.
Yeah.
Of just
here's
being
6.
able to go. Yeah, and then they would stay on Spirit for way too long, and they would finally level, and they would go into like Rye. And I'm like, you have like 11 damage on you, dude. He's like, yeah, as long as you don't have Heavy Swing, I'm fine. And I'm like, you know, there's 4 of them in the deck, right? And he's like, yeah, but you have to draw it. And I'm like, Heavy Swing. He's like, oh, I died.
You have to draw it.
Yeah.
Oh, you do this one right here? Donk.
My biggest Rye loss, not on Worlds, but in general, was turn 1, my opponent goes second. I go Materialized Spirit, pass, and they go heavy swing, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And they're like level, heavy swing, and I was like, yeah, I'm dead.
Yeah, it turns out that card's good when you just say, yeah, what are you going to do about it? I'm just going to punch you in the face really, really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say, my mind got changed a lot with Storm of Thorns and Diffusive Block coming in as the most clutch cards in so many situations. Being able to go turn 1 Dungeon Guide and watching my opponent
the
throw
Academy
all their
Guide?
resources, Academy Guide, and they go, I'm going to swing at it with 2, and I'm going to swing at it with the second ally and swing at it, and I go, cool, Diffusive Block, and they go, oh, okay, and then I'm just like, I'm going to free level.
And then you
I'm
get
gonna
a
level
also
him
now,
up.
now my Academy Guide is safe, and I have a Diffusive Block float, so I'm going to level 2 for free again. It's
Yeah,
like,
and then
all
I'm
right,
just
man.
gonna play. Yeah, and the other change we did make is the original list that was up on Yeti was actually playing, instead of Stillwater Patrols, I think they were playing, what was it? I can't remember what ally, but they were playing a random like 2-3 ally.
It might have been
and we
Sea
kinda
Sprite
looked-
Diver.
Yeah, it was the Sprite Diver, and we're like, not many people are playing Floating Memory in this format. We don't
Yeah.
think they are, and if they are, who cares at that point? So I'm like,
Yeah.
but
I
if
mean-
I go against Wind allies or even the Mirror Match, I need something to just deal with fairies.
Yeah.
And those came in clutch so many games, or even just lurking. When they go turn 1 lurking assailant, and they would pass, and I'm like, let's see if you got it. And I'll just play my dude for 4 and swing into the lurking.
Stillwater, 3 to lurking.
And they go,
oh.
and they're like, yeah, I actually don't have anything to save lurking here. Lurking dies. I'm like, cool, sweet. That's awesome. I just 1 for 1, and I now have 3 cards at hand that I can now either diffuse a block, or I can play a Fracturize if I need to, a Song of Frost. The fact that I had 3 of them.
Yeah.
Good. We'll get to that. We'll get to that about round 5 of the tournament.
Yeah, we'll get to the
Yeah.
I'll get to that about round 5 of the tournament. But
Yeah, those are the lists we played. I would definitely say I played as Tristan put it, I played the consistency list. That was probably the most boring list I've ever played in Grand Archive. And I hate to say that because I know there's a lot of Tony enjoyers, but man, did every single game feel exactly the same. It came down to, did I draw a heavy swing on my opening hand, or did I not draw a heavy swing at all? And that was my game modes of like, how's the game going? And I would just say heavy swing, and it would just be heavy swing, and that was the modes. There was nothing else of that entire deck, and it was, man,
as
it
someone
felt
who
rough.
very much wanted to enjoy Tonerus as a deck, I just can't. It's not how I play. Every version of it, every element, advanced. It's just not how I play.
Tonerus is so consistent because your deck is so redundant and full of the same do nothing cards. But the thing is, your do nothing cards are slightly better than your opponent's do nothing cards, and you will get there eventually.
Yeah.
Sometimes your do nothing card is a
It's a heavy swing, but that's not
is a 6 cost 12, and you're like, huh, shit.
yeah. But like, that's not a do nothing card. That's a I'm gonna bash your fucking skull in card.
Well,
Yeah,
for most
for
of the
sure.
game, it does feel like a do nothing card until it's that time where it's like, huh, hey, it's lethal.
Oh,
Yeah.
look, I have 5 cards in hand, and one of them's heavy swing. Weird. I guess I'll hit you for 9
Yeah.
after I level 2. Oh, whoops. Oh,
Yeah,
what up?
it's like, oh, this card is pretty good memory. I'll put that down. All right,
The number of times that tournament, I would watch people look at my board, and they would see like 2 allies, like a 2-3 and a 2-3, and they're like, I'm like 12 from lethal. Like, I'm fine, right? And that their partner would be like, well, yeah, he would have to have heavy swing, so you're fine here. Like, how's he gonna heavy swing you? Like, just go ahead and go for it. And they would forget that I'm just sitting on like 2 floating memory in here. So I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah, you attack me. And they're like, yeah, you're 1 from lethal. I'm gonna kill you next turn. And I'm like, okay, cool, heavy swing you, and then swing for 2. I do 14 damage to you, or like 13, 15 damage. And they go, oh,
Yeah.
huh. Yeah, I guess that happens. But yeah, so let's kind of go in. Now that we kind of talked about the decks, let's talk a little bit about kind of what we played into, and like how'd the rounds go, and how did we feel like we were playing going into that.
So I know that personally, I don't remember a lot of the rounds. I remember round 1 because that was the Rye mirror that he thought I was playing Wind Allies. I know that I won that one.
And we actually got made, and that we essentially continued the Team Ordinary Bear curse of getting paired up with our locals, regardless of where we're playing. We will always get paired up against our locals. I don't know why it happens, and I'm getting frustrated by it, but
Yeah.
it's always our locals.
Yeah, so round one, me and Derek both in Dallas. Round one, we go against some Dallas people. I'm in a Fire Merlin versus Serene Zandermere. I believe you were in a Rymir.
I was in a
What you said?
Rymir. Yeah,
And
I
then-
don't remember if they were on Wind or Fire Rye. I know it was a Rymir though.
I think they were on fire because I was on the Wind Allies list.
Okay, yeah.
And the Wind Allies and the Wind Allies player, I think they had just taught the game like a couple like weeks before, so he was still
Yeah.
very new. He still played well, but it was kind of a rough situation because he didn't know about the ally mentality of being able to trade the 2-for-1, and that was the back and forth. So there was a lot of times where he would rush out 2 allies very quickly, and then swing into mine.
And then you just lose tempo.
And he would I would just like diffuse a block or play something else, and he's like, "Cool, my entire 2-play turn is gone." And I'm like, "Cool,
Yep.
back to mine. I'll play 1, kill your stealth dude for free, and then I'll just pass back to me, or just pass, go ahead and go again." And he has to look at I'm sitting another 3 cards in hand. They clearly have holding of interaction, and so at that point it just kind of quickly went downhill for him. So that was one that we definitely kind of wrapped up. I think you guys won before I even finished the game.
Yeah,
It was
but like your game was absolutely locked up in your favor, and we were done.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know for my game, I was against. So the fire. I think it was a Fire Merlin I was against. So I think you were against like a Serene Fire. But the Merlin I was against, he got 3 Ghost of Pendragons, and I'm like, I have 1 Luxem site. I can't keep up with this. I need to find lethal. And so, by the time, he played the second Ghost, and I'm like, I can't keep up with 2 here. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to get my Poison Dagger, and I'm going to try and go for an early kill here and whittle him down. And then he went for the 3rd Ghost, and I'm like, if he has a Fireball, I think I just died.
Yeah.
And he didn't. And so on my turn, I go, all right, I'm going to throw my dagger at you now. I'm going to Juggle Knives you, reveal all Lightweavers, ping you a little bit, and then pick up my cards. I'm going to play another Juggle, and I'm going to play a Lightweaver for 6. And I found exact lethal that turn, and I'm like, that's what I needed. Because
Yeah,
I could not beat 3 Ghosts of Pendragon.
I'm gonna pull up Omnidex here as well.
I have it up.
Yeah, I have it up. I'm trying to remember these rounds. Like round 2 was team. I don't remember this round at all.
Round 2, I'm gonna see if I can find. I don't. Oh, they don't have past top cut on Luxeras. Whoops.
Yeah, they also don't have past top cut on Omni.
Yeah, so I can't because that's where we kind of went into a blur. Because once we got the first win, we kind of just went on a train from that point on. And I don't think it was until what, round 4?
Round
that
5
we actually got it.
Was the fatal deck check.
Yeah.
But
I don't think we actually had a rough matchup until after round 5.
Yeah, because
I had a really bad matchup. I think it was round 3 or 4. I lost to a Water Diana.
It was round 3.
Oh yeah, I straight up just miscounted lethal.
Yeah.
And lost to them because the round before that I beat a Fire Diana, and that was just a fine game. But I should have just miscounted lethal in my hand. So I was like, oh cool, I can cast my Advent, and then I drew my card and went, I'm 1 card short of casting my Advent after playing my Power Overwhelming, and I just went, oh cool, I just kind of lose now.
Yeah, I think round 2 was the first of my many Serene Xander mirrors, and these are the matchups where me having something so much closer to stock Serene Xander mattered so much. Because they were playing like marginal cards, and they were on non-fire elements, which like they're not bad, but like fire is so consistent that I'm going to level 3, and I'm like, I've got 2 to 3 cards in my hand, and I want all of these. And my opponents are like, I'm going to level 3, and I maybe want like 1 card in my hand. And I'm like, I have consistency, so I'm just going to use my consistency to build a gap between us and just completely push you out of this game. And that is what happened to me for the next 3 rounds.
Yeah, and it's interesting you said that like from that point forward, you just started getting those Luxemirs and Luxemirs. Because when we first were trying to math out where they would place people, I think we were all in agreement going into that they would put the erupting list in the middle. Because the erupting
No,
list
it was
wouldn't have to...
allies. It was allies.
Oh yeah, they would put allies in the middle, and they would have erupting at A. We're like, that's probably what they're gonna do. I learned the lesson very quickly that everybody at that event decided to put erupting on the C seat, and I played erupting. Was it
Everyone put
6
allies
rounds
in
in a row?
Yeah.
It was like, man.
I think me and Glass were talking about it. We were like, yeah, it's a real big coin flip because seat 2 is either going to be their quickest deck or their slowest deck. No in between.
Yeah, and I think kind of like we kind of just like randomly decided. We had spots, sort of, and I ideated it out, and we're like, what if like didn't do what we were originally planning to do, which is kind of like the story of this event for us. Like we had our original decks a month ago, and then like a week before, we're like, no, let's change it.
What if all 3 of us just switched decks?
Yeah, all 3 of us.
What if we all
changed
just
decks.
all our practice that we have done out the window?
Yeah,
Let's just
everything's
start
gone.
over.
Bad. Don't need it. Our planning for our very slight planning of placements, don't need that either. And so we just said, I'll be in the middle. You guys figure out what side you want to be on. We go.
And I think we did really good.
Yeah. Our kind of randomly putting people together turned out good.
Sometimes less think is more smart.
Yes.
All right, real quick before we jump into the fatal match, let me do a quick pause here just so I can stop the recording because we're getting a little bit kind of lagged behind, and then we'll kind of discuss
Discord's chunk is lagging. So we're gonna go.
Let's talk.
We started round 1. Did we get to round 2? I don't really remember.
Yeah. Round three is when we kind of started getting tough matchups. Round 4, I don't think I remember much happened there.
Round 4, I believe that was your first erupting loss.
Yes, because that was where I first got to the erupting, and the specific I do remember that one because I was able to fracturize Lantern,
and he just instantly had it.
And then he instantly was like, "Cool,
Dustlight.
I'm gonna go ahead and play the Dustlight," and I'm like, "All right, we're definitely losing this here." And I weirdly enough, looking back at the deck list that we played, we looked at when we got to the end of that day. That was the only the fire erupting that I actually played that ran the Dustlight at all. A lot of the lists decided to just forego it, and I guess they were doing the same thing that we thought originally we would do, which is say we'll just run the erupting, and if they get against the water, oh well, the other 2 need to win. Which the guy who ran the Dustlight, it worked out in his favor.
Yep.
But
and then round 5 happened.
So I'm gonna tell the story of round 5 because both of you went to the restroom.
Yep.
Both of you went to the restroom.
Yep.
So they come over.
Speak here.
They come over. We're against a great team that we played again in day 2. So we actually got to play them in day 2. Called it was a team. Peter's a chaperone. Great guys. One of them was a Rai cosplayer. Amazing. Overall,
Rai cosplay was so good. His deck box was a Tome of Sacred Lightning.
Yeah, he had like a giant tome. Overall, great people.
Yeah.
So they come over. They're like, "Hey, you guys are getting deck checked," and immediately our opponents, are freaking out because one of them has a dual deck box that has 2.5 decks in it.
Yep.
The other one he's like, "Oh, I just have like random promos and singles in my deck box with my deck."
Yeah, which is
they're all like, "Oh, we're gonna get in trouble. Like, we might get DQ. Like, we might lose this game." And so we're like 20 minutes into this deck check, and we're like, "What is taking so long?" I think Derek goes to the restroom, and then Glass goes to the restroom. And as soon as Glass walks away, the judge comes over and goes, "Hey, you, Team Ordinary Bear, or which one's Team Ordinary Bear? You guys are going to lose this match."
Yep.
And I was like, "We're gonna what?" And they pull me and Derek aside, and they go, "Who was the water player?" I point at Derek, and they go, Your deck has 3 Song of Frost registered. You only presented 2. You need to go find a 3rd Song of Frost. You'll be getting a game loss." And they're like, "And then who was the Xander player?" And I was like, "That would be Glass. He's in the bathroom." They're like, "All right, cool. He registered a 56 card deck."
Yeah.
And we were like, first of all, personally, how does that even like not even on glasses, not even on his? How does this tournament software let you register a just completely illegal deck?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I spoke to Pichu, the guy who created Omni, as wonderful as it is, and he just said it's an oversight. He just forgot.
Yeah, like completely understandable, not the biggest thing. But I was tilted because they tell me they're like, hey, he's also getting a game loss. And I can see Tristan walking back from the restroom across the hall, but he like stops to talk to somebody, and I'm heated. Because we're on like literally round 5, undefeated. Great. And I'm like I just start walking across the event hall. I'm like, Tristan, get over here. Like I'm trying to get him to stop his conversation and walk back to the judges. And then the best part about this was the judge just looks at me and he goes, your deck list was perfect. And he just like goes on to continue with what he was saying.
Yep.
And they're like, would to Tristan, they're like, would you like to add these cards back to your deck so you have a 60 card deck? And it's 4 gleaming cuts. And it's like, yeah,
yes, please put
yes,
those
I would
in my
love to add my
deck.
4 gleaming cuts back to my deck.
I would love to have 4 gleaming cuts registered in my deck. Those are quite good.
Like
The worst part about that is the judge came over, pulled us, but we pulled us to the side. He was like, "Hey, the water player registered an extra card, or registered 61 cards, but only presented 60." And I was like, "Crap! All right, I know what happened. Yeah, I get it. But at least Tristan and Braden, they're gonna be able to win, and we can it'll be easy. Nothing's gonna be a problem." That all goes through my head in a matter of like 3 seconds. And then the judge goes, who played this deck? and he pulls Tristan's deck out, and I just go, oh no. And he goes, there's only 56 cards registered, but there's 60 in here. And I go, you've got to be kidding me. And then he goes, so that's a double game loss, which is a round loss. And I just go, okay, I guess I'll run up to the hotel room and grab a Song of Frost out of a box and put it in here and play a 61 card deck for the rest of the tournament. And man, we went our separate ways for like 10 minutes just to be like, I hate myself so much.
I looked at them too, and I was like, I'm going outside.
Braden's walking, being like, I hate my teammates. Me and Tristan are like, we suck at this game.
I wasn't even mad at you guys. The funniest part is I wasn't mad at you guys. I was like, I was just upset that we lost a round without playing.
After like 20-30 minutes of
waiting.
It
was a 37-minute deck check where we're sitting here. They think they're fucked. And
our opponents think they're done for.
Yeah, and then we get to the point where we're just like, hey man, we're like 15 minutes into this deck check. We're all just vibing at this point. We're hanging out. We're having a good time. We're shit posting. These guys are about to be our opponents. They're our friends now. And the judges come over and like walk over while I'm away, and they're like, get fucked, losers.
So we go and take the break after that dreaded round 5, and we're like, so we have to win now.
Yep.
If we want to guarantee ourselves in, which at that point with the ranking where we were getting into top,
we wanted to
getting
be
into
near
day
the
2
top.
no matter what. But to get into top 4, we had to finish day 1 X and 1 or X 1-1. We could not be X and 2.
Yep.
So we went and played our next round. I can't remember what we played into that round.
We played Team 32.
Yeah,
we played
Team 32. That's right.
And that round was real great.
That was a lot of fun.
I will
that
say
was the fast.
I BS.
That was
my
the
way
fastest
game.
Grandma Archive I played that entire weekend because I got against their
erupting
list,
and you just
and they're erupting, and he hit the perfect curve turn 3 and just goes, all right, cool. Opening turn just goes increasing danger, gets his cards, goes to the next turn, goes the harp, and I go, I'm in danger. I need to draw Fracturize. Like, I need to draw something here. And I was like, I have one shot. I've just got my spirit out now. So it goes back to me. I'm like, cool. I did the math. I'm like, if I play Lantern, he still kills me through Lantern. Because he can still hit it and still kill me. So I'm like, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to level to Tony and hope he doesn't have the full damage or he doesn't have it yet. And then I go Lantern and hopefully draw the Fracturize. He goes back to his turn and he goes, Rye. And I go, this is bad. and then he just goes, we're gonna go ahead and kill my dude that I played, or kill one of the dudes. I'm gonna go ahead and do the Erupting Rhapsody, and then I'm gonna go ahead and hit you for like 26 damage on turn 3. And I'm like, yep, that's how this game's played.
Yep.
And I look over and I'm like, well, I'm out. You guys gotta win now.
Yep. And that one was very funny because I believe their name is Chiharu. Krios's wind allies opponent saw him banish and anger the skies, looked over at Bifall and said, I thought you said they don't play this anymore. Because they had cut Song of Nurturing and Favorable Winds from their deck.
They had favorable, but they didn't have Song of Nurturing.
They'd cut Song of Nurturing from their deck because Bifall said they don't play Anger the Skies anymore.
This was also the same game that I felt was
Ravaging
really
Tempest.
bad. Yeah, I went. So there's a point that I went Ravaging Tempest into Ravaging Tempest.
Yep.
Earlier in that game, I had gone. I don't remember what it was, but I did something, and then they had lethal on the stack, and I went, okay, remove 3 and 9 counters, nothing. Remove 3 and 9 counters, nothing. Tap Tome of Sacred Lightning, nothing. Banish Tome of Sacred Lightning, hit the Resolute Stand, or cast Resolute Stand to stay alive.
Yeah.
It was just both of the games against TM32. I pulled wins. The next game when we played them in day 2, which we'll get to.
Yeah, I think it was
I
round
fogged
2.
like 5 times.
It was really funny because it obviously same opponents. And Brain's opponent was like, he's played like 2 peacefuls so far.
My opening hand was peaceful, resolute, arcane cards.
Yeah, and was like, he can't have too many more peacefuls. And I just like look over at his hand, and I'm just like,
Hey, cat.
Oh, Team Ordinary Cat.
Team Ordinary Cat.
I just look over at his hand, and I just nod at him, and I'm just like,
yeah, it was. But yeah, no, that round against TM32 was pretty good. So we ended up going into day 2, 5-1.
Yep.
Technically, in my brain, in my big old noggin, we were 5-0.
Yep. 5-0 round loss.
Yeah, there was some weird. There was also some like higher up teams got some weird losses early too.
Yeah.
So it actually put us into seed 2.
Yep.
Going into day 2.
Yeah.
Which actually turned out to be worse for us because we had to go into main deck, which in round 1, and they had if they could have like
the matchup.
If they could have looked at our matchup, like see what decks we're submitting, and then pick what decks they want to line up, they would have done it. Because it was just every single one of us had to play the worst possible matchup.
It was just nightmare.
I sat down and they handed me the deck list for So keep in mind, this is the worst part about this. I like spaced this until just now. They handed me my opponent's deck list, and I go, we're just like talking, we're complaining about Erupting, just complaining. And I was like, yeah, I remember I lost my win in it Nats to 2 Rending Flames. He went Rending Flames for 14, Rending Flames for 13. And then I look up and it registers and I go, wait, you're the one that knocked me out of Nats day 2. And he went, yeah, it was me.
Yep. And then
So I look at his deck list and it's no offense to Duck Hats, love you, but it is the stupid aggro Xander Water Scepter of Lumina BS deck that I just despise. And I look at Tristan and go, I'd lose. Like, I have played against this deck. One of my locals plays it constantly. Modest Mewtwo or Easton, great guy, plays it all the time. Played it throughout Store Champs. There have been multiple times where I'm like, yeah, I'm going to play Peaceful Reunion. And he's like, dope. Dagger level 16 unpreventable. And I'm like, huh. Shit.
Or 16 damage out of nowhere, and it's like, yeah,
it's
man.
like through a Peace War Union. It's like, yeah. It's like,
and
I just knew I was losing this one.
I've had games against Easton where I go, all right, I'm going to play Innervate and another card. I'm going to clear your board of allies, and you have nothing in play. And he just goes, cold turkey, you're dead. Well, I'm like, all right, man.
Yeah, and then I had to go against. I literally looked at the deck list and I saw the first card, and I'm like, yo, that card says Erupting Rhapsody. And I put the list down, and I'm like, I know how this is going. And he goes, you want to look at it anymore? I'm like, I don't.
Yeah.
I really don't. Like, he goes, you don't want to check, see what cards I'm playing? I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like, I saw Erupting Rhapsody. I know where this goes. I gotta get Lantern. I gotta Fracturize it. And then I was happy because I was like, man, I'm on Lantern Fracturize. This is great. And I look over at Tristan's game, who is going in to the Wind Lorraine matchup.
Crux.
And his opponent goes, cool, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna just put out my Crux Sword and I'm gonna have you reveal your memory. Alright, cool. There's the Lightweavers in there. I really hope I hit it. And then rips the Lightweavers. And I go, I think Tristan just lost.
And
My
I will say, I never got to finish my game. He definitely had the advantage there. I somehow managed to like cobble together some slight semblance of stabilization, which I don't think that I was going to win that game long term, but the fact that I had any form of stability after getting Prismatic Edge twice and he ripped like 2 cards that I wanted to keep out of my hand was crazy to me.
the
Yeah.
the funniest part about you not looking at the erupting list is I pulled it up just now, and the first card I see is Varuk's Smoldering Spire, and I was like, whoa.
Whoa. That man was not fucking around.
No, and then we played that and then went straight into a rematch with TM32.
Yeah.
Where this
Right
was the
after
game that against Chiaru, I just straight I was like, peaceful, resolute, vanish. And they're just like, yeah, man. Like, as a Windows player, what are you supposed to do?
Sometimes you don't get to play the game.
Yeah, like
And this was one of the games that I personally feel the best about, where so no offense to Byfall, but he definitely felt like a newer Serene Pilot.
He's a Rai player.
He's by far a very good Rai, but he felt like a newer Serene Pilot. There was a point where my hand was some junk norm cards that didn't matter at this point in the game, a Gleaming Cut, a Luxem Sight, and 2 copies of Lightweaver's Assault. And I played this just song of dance with Byfall, where I need my Luxem Sight and my Gleaming Cut the most. And I will say, I might have traumatized him a bit when yesterday I Gawained his 1 Luxem Sight, and him not having that healing spiraled into me winning that game very quickly.
I told you. What is the first thing I told you? Gawain takes Luxem Sight, not Lightweavers.
Yeah. And so for the longest time, I'm dancing around only putting my 2 Lightweavers down because I know he has a Gawain, and I put my Poison Dagger in play. And I wait, and my Poison Dagger finally untaps. And then that's when I'm like, all right, I'm safe to do whatever I want now. Gawain cannot hurt me. If he has 2 Gawains, I don't know, cry about it.
Unlucky.
Yeah, if he has 2 Gawains, I don't know, I'll cry about it. But 1, I'm chilling. So I go, all right, now's my time. I'm gonna, play out. I'm gonna make use of my Oasis, play out my Oasis trading post, and I'm gonna glimpse. And he goes, Gawain, and I'm like, all right, that's fine. Poison Dagger Gawain. And then we get back to my turn, and he's like, well, you're gonna reveal your Luxem Sight or your Lightweaver's Assault, and I go, all right, Xander trigger, reveal Lightweavers, Luxem Sight, Gleaming Cut, and he just goes, oh no. And that game ended very quickly with a double Lightweavers from there.
That is where the cookie crumbles.
And then we had to go right after that. We had to go into the rematch.
The second
with
rematch.
Chaperone.
See,
The
best part about this rematch is we are once again at table 3. Same table, same team. I was
same
ready.
seat positions, everything.
Yeah.
The best part about this is this was like also redeeming for us because not only did they get a free win against us at round 5 the day before, the start of day 2, they're sitting there and there's this weird discussion going on before the round starts. Like all the judges are gathered on the table. We won't say details of what happened, but a team got disqualified going into day 2, and they were against Peter the Chaperone on day 2, who then got a free win on the first round of day 2. And this team has now gone into this tournament with 2 free wins.
Oh, no,
And now we get to
you're missing a
rematch
part.
them.
You're missing a part. They got 3 free wins.
Yeah, they got 3.
Who's the third one?
During day 1, they were talking about it to me. One of their teams, who was it? One of the teams they played against, they're like, yeah, they conceded to us
It yeah, I don't know who it was.
because they were dropping or something. Like, I remember this vividly because they were like, yeah, no, that's our 3rd free win of the turn.
Yeah, they
Gosh, that makes it.
But yeah, overall great guys.
Oh, yeah, nothing against them.
Yeah.
They just, man,
they rolled
they were
the
in
dice
Vegas.
and they hit it.
Oh yeah,
They were in Vegas and they were playing Vegas. That's how it
100%.
went.
Yeah.
But we finally got the rematch, and this is where it got the most stressful game for me because this is where kind of Tony had to clutch things out
Yeah.
because I think it was Rye lost.
I'm chilling.
Kristen,
I got it.
yeah, Luxem got it, and so it's just down to me as the last list I have to play, and I hit him with the heavy swing, take him to almost dead, and I know I have the last attack.
Yeah.
I have the Amorphous Strike. All I have to do is go level 3 and slam it on the table, and he's dead. So we go to level 3, and I'm like, all right, just got to get 1 turn, and I draw the 3rd card, Amorphous him. He goes, plays a Library Witch. I'm like,
Shit.
all right, we could like, okay, we can't kill him yet. We're gonna get the sword, swing the Library Witch. Next turn, we've got him. Library Witch. Like, okay,
Yep.
get a little bit harder. Kill it. Goes back to him. He's got to do the math. He's thinking forever. He's like, do I do this or do this? I'm like, if he has a Library Witch, I lose. He goes, I think we go for it. Because there's no way he has 2 diffusive blocks at this point. Little does he know, I had 2 diffusive blocks.
I think at this point I had also stood up and was just standing behind you because I knew that I couldn't help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and
I
I could tell you were stressed out, and I was like, look, he has it or he doesn't. Make him have it.
Make him have it. And he plays the thing, and we actually went back and looked at it, and he drew the card. And if he would have just said YOLO and drew the card during that turn, instead of waiting till my turn to try to do something, he would have actually gotten the fireball with the bonus and killed me.
Yep.
But he did it because he top decked the fireball, the last one. If he would have just gone for it on his turn, he had it.
Because
when he went back to me,
yeah, and you
draws the card.
You made a drone, cleared the no, because you killed the witch, and that's what drew him the fireball.
Yeah, and he should have when he played the. Yeah, that's right. Because if he would have just played the what's the name of the stupid card? The erupting card.
Ember Song.
Ember Song.
Ember Song.
To
If he
kill
would have just
Library Witch.
Ember Songed his own Library Witch,
Yeah.
he would have actually drawn the fireball, and that's what it was. He would have drawn the fireball and killed me. But instead, he waited to my turn when I killed it with the drone. He drew it. He hits. He goes, "I'll try to do 4 to you to kill you," and I go, "Diffusive block to survive with 2 health left."
No, it was either
And
either diffusive or you activated a totem.
I think you just tapped the.
It was
prevent
an
two
obelisk
totem.
because the obelisk was free at that point.
Okay, and I was just like,
Either way, you prevent 2.
either way, prevented 2, went to 2, and I'm
Went
like,
to 28 out of 30, and then I'm like,
and then he's
hit him with it.
And then he's like, "Do you have Amorphous Strike?" And I just go, 2 cards on the table, Amorphous Strike, ban that heavy swing, go in for 10. Let's end this game. Let's move on to the last round. And man, it felt so much better to be able to move on. And then we go to the last round, which was actually against your guys' Utah locals.
Yep.
Into that last one.
Our good friends, one chess club member being Pickle Soldier
Sword.
Matt G,
Yep.
the aforementioned Modest Mewtwo, aka Easton.
Matt not
And-
erupting. Gee.
Yeah, and then their third, I don't remember his actual name, but his Omni is Axis, and he was the erupting player that I played against. And let me just say, as Rye players listening to this, you'll know, and people who've played against Rye, you'll know. Sometimes you just find lethal lines that are just straight horseshit. And this was one of those games.
Yep.
I went turn 1 Beseech to level, banish the next 2 cards to go to level 2 the next turn, go to level 3 the turn after, Careful Study, draw my cards, Peace War Union, I think, and then pass. I draw my next hand, and it is Erratic Bolt, Arcane, Arcane, Arcane Wind. I slap all 4 down to Erratic Bolt. The Erratic Bolt draws me into a Arcane. It banishes two Arcane cards
Yep.
to get me to
10.
level 11. Level
10.
11.
It was 10 because you put 1 down for a blast.
No, I didn't, because I didn't
Oh.
have the 1 to put down. I hit me because I was level 9 from leveling. So it'd be
Oh
10
yeah,
level.
yeah.
So it's level 11. Draw my 2 cards. It draws me Arcane Elemental and what's the
Disorienting
gosh.
Winds.
And Disorienting Winds. So I play the Elemental, hit him for 7, disorienting the Elemental back to my hand, draw the Arcane Blast, and go Elemental Blast for lethal.
It was sometimes Rye just says die.
And
I got it.
My opponent was like, "You weren't supposed to have lethal," and I was like, "No, I wasn't."
Yeah, and
However,
I
Rye
played.
said, "Nuh-uh."
Yeah.
Yeah, and then at the same time that happened, I played in because Eason, I think he was on
The
which
Wind
list was he?
Tonerus.
The Wind Tonerus, and he hit
That list was
every
scary.
single answer he needed, like on curve. Had the Academy guy just sitting there, like doing drugs the whole time, and I'm like, hey, police, like the Academy guy's clearly doing drugs, and they're like, I didn't see anything, and I'm like, please, I need you to do something.
This Academy
like, "He
guy's
paid me,
taking
I
12
can't."
damage. Like, I don't know what you want from me.
What's happening here? And just complete blowout. And we had to look at Tristan and be like, Tristan, you gotta win this Water Diana matchup.
And
So
the
the best
horrifying
part-
thing was you looked over at me when it was like, oh, you gotta win this Water Diana matchup. And the Pickle goes, Dungeon Guide, go to level 3, get Shadow's Twin, double taser shot you. And I'm just like, what
My favorite part is when I looked over at Tristan's game. I look over and I see him go, Excalibur, your Shadow's Torn on load, and I was like, we're good. So I missed the
good.
double
It's
taser
got it
shot.
here.
I missed
Yeah.
the double. I just see Excalibur Shadow's Torn, I was like, we're good.
Yeah,
We're
he
good.
went Dungeon Guide, Twin me, with double taser shot, and I'm like, oh shit. I don't know how I can win this. I have to find it because Derek just lost.
Yeah.
And I was like,
And
so
you
I sit there deliberating for a while, and I'm like, do I juggle knives in response to draw a card and put some down for Xander? Do I resolute stand to mitigate damage because I can't stop it all? Do I wait and exercise curses later so I can juggle net on my turn? And I was like, I got it. Take 7. Double taser shot, double tournament. End of your turn, exercise, remove both. Level to Deft Executioner. In response, juggle knives, deal 1 to you, draw a card. And then I go, and I pick up my juggle, and I go, all right, draw for turn. And I'm like, I can't level up because I'm under double taser, and leveling up will kill me. And I'm like, Lineage Release, Dungeon Guide. Go to 3. I have 3 cards left in my hand, and I go, pass to you. He goes, all right, get a bullet, load twin. And I'm like, in response, Excalibur Twin, and I put down a Luxem Sight, and I'm like, I just like breathe a sigh. I just breathe a sigh of relief, and I'm like, I haven't won yet, but I'm on track.
But I'm not.
Yeah,
dying
and
today.
then after a slow game, I think he got 2 more curses on you, or 3. He got 3 curses on you,
And I'm like,
and then you just
and I'm like, I get a Safeguard Amulet. Braden looks at me and is like, why are you getting the Safeguard Amulet here? And I'm like, I can't let myself die to Umbral Tithe.
Yeah.
It was very good. Very good choice.
And then later in that game, because like the last turn, he had played an Umbral Tithe on me, and I think that Umbral Tithe lost him the game. Because that Umbral Tithe just went, I'm gonna draw into memory, Gleaming Cut, Lightweaver's Assault. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
I've won.
And then you prevented the damage, and then you healed off Luxem Sight. It was overall real crazy.
yeah, and even if preventing the damage, you were safe because you got rid of the curses too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Like
he
even
exercised
faking it, you were
curses
just
in response to it, and then
you healed
prevented
so
the
much at that
blast.
point that like you had
He played the Tithe, and I went, cool, in response, exercise 2 of these, so I'm only taking pings from 1.
yeah, and it was that point. It was like it was over.
Yeah.
And then we got into top 4, and at that point, it's weird. I will say now, getting into top 4, and it's probably the same for top 8s as well, is you don't care. at that point,
We s-
especially
we-
for this
Like,
game.
there's some
I turned
people.
off. My
There's some
brain
people
just
who
shut off.
definitely still care and are still locked in. We were done.
Well,
We
like,
were done.
Personally,
were done.
for me personally, we hit top 4, and I already had a cash offer for my spirit. I did not care. It didn't matter what, but it didn't matter if I got fourth, third, second, or first. Doesn't matter which spirit it was. I had a cash offer for it. I'm not gonna say too many details about it or the person that bought it. If they want to come out, then good on you. But yeah, I didn't care past that, and like I did care because obviously we all want to win.
Yeah.
But I was just relieved so much because it was 10 rounds of just mental abuse.
It was
Yeah, and it was
brutal.
and the fact that we had to take like an unavoidable round loss and then had to lose to like day one, lose round 1 was just like every game was stressful
Yeah,
from that
yeah.
point forward.
We
So the time
lost
we got
round
to
1 of
top
day 2.
Which was
and we went into like people were like, yeah, you got top 4 you're going into seed 2. We could have been seed 4, we could have been seed 1, we could have been seed 3. It didn't matter.
We
We
were
were checked
gone.
out. And I will say, as soon as we got to our first game, or for top 4, because we got against the real true champions,
aka
and
Limelight,
Good old
Caven,
Limelight.
and Duck Hats.
Yep.
So a couple horrifying players.
and definitely we're still kind of locked in,
Oh yeah, they
except
wanted to
for
win.
except for me and Caven. Me
and Lime were definitely messing around a lot.
Yeah, you two were vibing. And then,
we were so checked out. I leveled to Tony, goes back to Caben. Caben does math. He's like, okay, yep, okay. And he's like, okay, I think we got it. We're going to go and get the sword, and I'm going to swing the sword into your ally. And I go, Tony has taunt. And this is after I had to dig around in my dice bag to find a shield token from Flesh and Blood, the broken shield, that put on. Goes, this will represent taunt. And he's like, yeah, that works. That's perfect. Easy. And then he goes, attack into your ally. And I go, Tony has taunt. He's like, yeah, it does, doesn't it? And he goes, yeah, I already swung with the sword. Just go into Tony. And then does swings attacks into Tony. We go back at like 1 turn cycle each. Goes back to Caven. Caven goes, I'm going to go level 1 Tony. Can I borrow that token? I'm like, yeah, cool. I just put the token on because I forgot to take it off my turn. I goes, oh, yeah, I'll take it off. Just, yeah, put it on there. And he goes, oh, perfect. That's easy. Goes back to me. I math out the turn. I'm like, okay, I think I got it. Played an ally. I'll swing into your ally. Caben looks at me. I look at Caben. The judge looks at our table and goes, I'm not going to say anything. You guys already know. And me and Caben look at each other, and Caben goes, we clearly do not play this champion. We do not play Tony. Because we both were like, oh yeah, he gets taunt when he comes into play. We called it out, and we just forgot. And so
Tony
at
has
that point,
Tony has taunt.
we completely forgot. And we're in this brutal water v wind ally matchup where neither of us are getting any traction. We're just trading allies.
It's a
And
slog.
then it's a slog. Like, Caben is slightly getting an upper hand now. I'm slightly trying to get back with like going to level 3, so it's still kind of in this weird. We don't know what's gonna happen.
It's this weird
And then-
stalemate where one of you can pull ahead, but it's gonna take a long time.
And I feel bad because I forget which one of you guys lost first. It was I think Tristan lost first. Yeah, and then Braden is like, "Hey guys, it's done. I lost." I wasn't like, "Man, it's fine." Me and Caben both went, "Oh, thank God we don't have to play this match out." And then Caven looks at me and he goes, hey, look at it this way. You are the only person in this game that has neither won nor lost against me, and we just leave this game in limbo for the rest of our lives. So somewhere out there in the ether is 2 Tony players that believe that Tony doesn't have taunt, and that's the state of mind that we were at in the end of that tournament. And by that point, going into the bronze match, we were just so fried that we're like, I whatever happens.
The best part is my loss. I was playing against Lime, and I was like, all right, he has lethal next turn no matter what. I'm at like 23. In a Rymir, I knew I was dead. Yeah. So I'm attempting to find lethal, and I'm two off lethal.
It was painful.
I can get him to 23. After he released also. Like, this is post-release, I can get him to 23.
Yeah.
So I look at my hand and I go, play the cosplayer promo Peace War Union.
But at this
and
point,
then I
it's
and then Lime, Duck Hats, Tristan, and the judge all go, "You attacked with arcane elements," and I went, "I know. I just wanted to play it. I'm gonna concede due to an illegal game action."
And Lime was just like he was having it. It was so
He
good.
was like, "You just wanted to show me the peaceful," and I went, "Yeah, I did."
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
and man, I gotta say, Duck Hats is too nice, man. He is too nice. We were vibing so hard, and I'm like, oh shit, I lost. Because
I'm gonna scoop to lethal damage. Oh shit, I safeguard amulet.
yeah, because this was such a such a funny punt, and like none of us care at this point because he goes, I'm gonna put you to 24. And I'm like, cool. He goes, mark the target. I'm like, I'm dead. Scoop. And I'm picking my cards up, and I look at my board, and I'm like, there's a safeguard amulet on my board.
The judge was just standing there, was like, "You already scooped. You already gave up."
Yeah, I the judge was like, you've already scooped, you've already given up, and I'm like, I know, I'm done.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah. We
accept it.
were so checked out at that point. It was just like, I don't care what happens at this
And
point.
then- And then the bronze match, man, I did not play Grand Archive. My opponent went 2-3, 2-3, 2-3, 2-3, 2-3, Inspiring Call, and I was like, guess I'll die.
My favorite part about the bronze match was me looking. We were like, still kind of trying. We're like, hey, the safeguard amulet's over here. And at one point, my brain just doesn't click, and I look and I go, I got Luxera's map. Because
Man,
someone else
yeah,
is playing Luxem, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, after that final one, we're just like, all right, I'm good.
And
I don't.
And there was a point in our bronze match where Honshu is sitting behind us, and
all 6 of us pause our games.
She
to
did
get
the-
assign them.
she did the exercise curses art for the top 16 exercises, and all of us pause our game, and it's like we pause our game middle of bronze match and go Honshu fan club time. Get her to sign our exercise curses, and we're like, all right, let's keep playing now.
All 6 of us just stop what we're doing.
Yeah.
It was good.
Man,
Overall, great
that
tournament.
that top 4 was the most laid back top 4.
It was so
I
chill.
think ever. It was just like at that point, it was Worlds. Everybody had been drinking the day before / the
think
day they came in.
On the weekend, from landing, like getting in Thursday night, going from Friday morning, or I got in Friday morning, or I don't know when I got into this one, to be honest. Either way, from the time I landed to the time I left, I got maybe a total of 7 hours of sleep across those like 3 nights.
Yeah, we did not sleep a lot.
Yeah, so it was like we were exhausted. As soon as we knew we confirmed that spirit and to be in our hands, we're like, I don't care what happens from here on out. Everything else is just icing on the cake.
And the whole time in our top cut match, I was talking with Christian, and I was like, look, man, it's so funny because at like locals and lower level tables, you'll have people playing like just like making bad, like incorrect plays, but they're not making like game rule violations or just being dinguses.
So more in the middle of Grand Archive is the highest level of play. The second you get to table 5 and above, it's 2 really great players that just forget the rules because they're talking to each other.
Yeah, we're just sitting there having a good time, and we're like, wait, how do you fucking play this game, man?
I would like to release my spirit and then play a creative shock.
the Tristan Caven fan club. Pop Serene and then still try to play the creative shock.
Hey man, I almost got away with it.
I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for those meddling judges.
if it wasn't for my own meddling attention to be like, oh wait, I can't cast that.
I can't do that.
Shout out,
right.
true shout out towards the end of this. Shout out to the judges, for real though.
Yeah.
We definitely gave them a headache a good couple times. Bird, Lorelei,
Cyber Fox, I think, was there.
Merlin Simp. I don't know really how to say it.
TK.
TK. Yeah, TK. I'm just gonna go down the list of the judges. Utility, Birdie, Death
Death at
Death
War,
War-
Vincent,
Death at War, Vincent, Bingtron. Can't say that one. Itris,
Atreus,
Cyberfox,
Cyberfox,
Zamana, T-Girl Swag, which is Lorelei,
yeah,
TK, which is
TK.
Merlin Simp, and then Klaxer. All of them are great people. Great
they're all
judges.
legends. They're all
Yeah,
legends.
amazing people.
They put up with
super nice.
our shit all weekend.
They put up.
We
with
had
the
so
deck
many
checks.
judge calls. Well, let me put it fair. Tristan has so many judge calls on him for like I felt bad because we had to going into round 3, we had to be like, Tristan, we need you
Slow down.
to
Play Grand
not
Archive.
get a judge call again. Please.
There was a point where I was like so like my play lines were good. My brain was gone. There was a point where I was just like slightly distracted by what was happening in a different game, and I go Orb of Regret, shuffle, and I'm gonna draw my 3 cards, and I'm like, I didn't present you my deck. I put my 3 cards back, call a judge. The judge is like, cool, shuffle your deck, present it. I was like, sounds great.
Yeah, we definitely, I think, had a judge call
Most rounds.
probably 8 of the 12 rounds we played, whether it was for us or against us, where it's
Yeah.
like, hey, my opponent did something, or or we're telling on ourselves, like, hey, I can't do this.
I can't play this game properly. Or we just had the judges just watching us and be like,
Yeah,
do you
like
know how to play this game?
overall, shout out to Andy. Yang
Andy K,
Games.
absolute legend.
Andy was great. TM32, the entire production was great for Worlds overall.
Yeah.
Um,
Shinja
like I
and
said,
Calbo
great event.
looked so dead.
Andy looked drained.
Andy was gone.
Oh yeah.
I think the real funniest part about this entire event for me was Calbo and Clem were after round 4 were looking for someone that was playing in Path of Steel to interview. And they were like, we got to find someone that looks happy. And I'm like, hey, I'm 4-0. And they interview me. And I'm just like, yeah, we're 4-0. The format's a lot of fun. I'm having a great time.
And then we get.
And then round 5 happened. and I talked to Clem about it after, and I was like, it was so funny hindsight because it's just like it's such a shitty mistake. And Clem was just like, honestly, the fact that you go from like really happy, I'm 4-0, or we're 4-0, into 37-minute judge called double game loss where we're all just like dead inside. Peak.
Yeah, no, but overall, shout out to everybody. Shout out to the vendors. I know the True Champion booth. I went there a bunch. Thank you to them for dealing with me and my my absolute tendency of, as someone who's worked at a card shop for 3-4 years, to go, see, I know this is the price of the card, but what if?
But what if?
Yeah, no, great guys. Got a lot of good cards from the True Champion guys. I don't remember the name of the booth next to them.
Final cut, I want to say.
Yeah,
I
like
think.
both of the vendors on each side of them, great guys. Got some cards from them. They bought some stuff from me. Overall, amazing.
I spent way too much money at Fang's artist booth that weekend. I'm gonna be real, and it was fucking worth it.
Oh yeah, but yeah, no, overall great event. I'm glad to have gone into it with the person who got me into the game and a very good close friend of mine, and now someone who I consider to be a new and close friend of mine.
And as the only one that still owns a Sabrina on our team,
you know what? Hashtag my spirit is better.
That's true. Your spirit does go kind of hard.
I mean, I still, I mean, to be fair, I still own mine, but the talk is happening.
Yeah,
so.
That's a bit high.
A little lower.
I to commit lower, Dick. To commemorate.
Well, it's mine. I have a different angle than you guys do for the stream.
To commemorate it, I got both Derek and Brayden to sign the case of my Sabrina because she's not going anywhere for me.
Oh yeah, Han. If a letter comes in the mail from Brayden, just ship it back because it's probably another attempt to pay you.
It's probably an attempt to pay you more money. That
See,
you
little do you know, Hans'
Your camera-
PayPal is public.
Also, also, your camera's in slow-mo right now, which is really funny.
I think it's for you. It's coming in fine on mine. It did do a weird catch up a second ago when you said like you did your weird when you talked about like how your thoughts about after getting the interview. It just like this weird speed up. That was like,
Yeah. Definitely. I think Han's been a little bit busy, but I'm excited for some new art.
Yeah. Big fan of Sadie so far from the new set, both in art and I'm having a lot of fun playing the card.
Big.
yeah. I'll just say in general, this new set is it's looking good. It's probably a little bit bigger than I wanted a supplemental set to be. I'll be honest, but
Better than
I'll
FTC. FTC is way too small.
If anybody manages to stay this late in the video, because I feel like it's gonna probably be about an hour of us just rambling.
Vibing.
But if anybody does, just know I may be a rice imp, but there is some stuff coming. There is some stuff.
Please stop sending me your deck lists.
There is some stuff. You say that until you get killed by it.
he's cooking.
Yeah.
He's cooking.
Yeah.
I'm gonna continue to keep playing the Sylvie tier 0, and I'll see you
I
guys.
think the
I'll
deck
see you
is
guys in
insane.
Chicago.
I think that
Yeah,
we
that
will
deck's
see you
pretty
in
good.
Chicago. Come say hi.
Yep.
I might be there, might not. I don't know, man.
Hopefully we can get the full team there. I know confirmed I'm going, and I believe confirmed Derek is going.
Yep.
We got to
Yep.
convince.
As of now, I'm going. So unless things fall through, we'll see. But most likely, yeah, I'll be there.
Cool.
So-
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in.
Yep. Thanks everybody. And yeah, if you see us in an event, come say hi. Hopefully we get another team event as well. We'd be more than happy to do that. And yeah, we'll have some way, and we'll probably do here in the future. We'll do some more deck techs. Probably talk about decks because I definitely want to. I want to essentially have a therapy session with Brayden about his Arasana pot that he's been cooking. So.
Hey, listen.
Bro, get
All right.
out of the cauldron.
All right. Thanks everyone.